Guys, welcome to this video. So, I just completed my first semester of college, almost completed. I have my last final tomorrow morning, and then the semester is over. I wanted to come on here and give a review of what my college experience has been like. And if you've watched this channel or any of my videos, if you were to watch any video on my channel, I would recommend the one I have pinned to my homepage. And I think it says every parent must see this. And it's kind of the truth about how the current education system was designed. I'm very fascinated by that. And I have a lot of videos on that subject, and I recommend watching them. So it was an interesting choice for me to go to college. It was a choice directed by God. And I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit of what I learned. Now, I will say college is different than high school. It's better than high school. You spend less time there, so that's nice, even if you're a full-time student. And you have to take a total to get credit each class 3 hours a week per class, and it's normally split up by days. You can have an hour and a half class two times on like Tuesday or Thursday, or you can have an hour class 3 times a week to get the credit, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know what I mean. So you're spending a lot less time in there. You're not spending all day at school, and you have a lot more autonomy. So you're the one directing your decisions. If you don't want to study, no one's going to make you study. If you don't want to take notes, no one's going to make you take notes. And there's no one right way to do things, which I kind of like because in high school, they just kind of only push one way to go about doing things. You have to do exactly what the teacher says. And it's not like that in college, which I like. If you want to get up and go to the bathroom, you don't have to ask, you just go. If you want to leave the classroom, if you want to leave halfway through the lecture, you just get up and leave, and there's no questions asked. So I I like that part of college. Now, I will say I didn't go to college expecting to learn anything. I'm there because I need to get a piece of paper that says I can do what I want to do because that's required to do what I want to do as of right now, currently. So that's why I'm there. It's not to learn. I don't think, honestly, if you want to learn and get the best education, don't go to college. You're not gonna get the best education there. It's not useful. I mean, hardly anything that I learned this year, course material wise, maybe 5 to 10% was useful, but the rest isn't. And that's a current problem in college. The best education you can have is just living life and going around the world and seeing things, or even in your community, being involved in your community and just pursuing the things that are on your heart with God's permission. You will get so much of a better education and be a more well-rounded person because of that than you will in schools, just because of the way that schools are set up. So there's that. I didn't expect to learn much, and I'll kind of walk you through the different things that I did learn in my classes. So let's talk about English. Some of it was a little bit shocking to me, I will say. Some of the things that they're teaching in school and some of the things that the teachers say are a little bit shocking. But I think it's important to go into college, just being prepared for that and knowing that walking with the Lord is so important. English. This English class that I took was not about English. If anything, it was about how English is racist. That was pretty much the majority of the course, was that it's English is racist and discriminatory to people who don't speak English. And I'm kind of thinking, like, this is America. The most common language we speak here is English, followed by Spanish. And if I go to Mexico and live in Mexico, it's really going to help me to learn Spanish. It's not racist of them telling me or having school and testing in Spanish. It's because that country speaks Spanish. And if I don't know any Spanish, it would probably be a lot harder for me to fit in, and I might feel isolated or excluded, but it's not a personal attack. It's just the way things are in that nation. Same thing in Germany. If you move to Germany and you enter German public schools, I think they do teach English there in some schools. But if you don't know German, it's going to be a lot harder for you. And it's your personal responsibility to learn German. I think it's a little bit arrogant to go into a country that's new to you, even if you're welcomed in there, and demand that everybody speak your language and follow your practices when that's not the way the country is. And I think that's what's happening is people who don't speak English or might not speak it well. It's not a sign of intelligence, by the way. People associate English with intelligence, and but in a way it could be, but languages are intelligence. So there's a lot of Spanish speakers that speak fluent Spanish and fluent English in America, and that to me is a sign of intelligence. Not just that you know one language, but if you know multiple, that's really cool. We should be encouraged. We should all be encouraged to learn multiple languages if it would help us. So I just think it is a little bit arrogant for other people to come in. And I'm not saying the people are saying this, but this is kind of the agendas that are being pushed. You can just come to this country and say, do it the way that I do, because if not, you're discriminating against me. And it's like, honey, no, this is just the way we do things here. And it would help you to learn that because you'll have more successful outcomes here. It may not be easy for you. It's not going to be easy for me to learn German, but if I want to be successful in Germany, that's something that I'm going to have to do. So the college English course was not about English. It was mostly about race and racism and people who are discriminated and how literacy can be all different kinds of things and how literacy discriminates against people who don't have resources as others. And honestly, it felt really defaming and it was a really depressing class. And I don't think anybody should think like that. I get it that not everybody has equal opportunities, I guess. Not everybody is born into opportunity. Not everybody has the enough money or enough resources as other people do. But the great thing about our country, I believe, is that we are the only country in the world where you can come from nothing. You can come from the dirt and you can rise up to the stars, but by hard work and effort and having thick skin. People who made it from the ground up, immigrants even, who made it from the ground up, the people that built America. They worked from the ground up with blood, sweat, and tears. And they put all of that hard work and faith into it. And that's how you become successful, no matter where you come from. And like the Bible says, our struggles make us stronger because they lead us closer to God. And God's power is stronger than man's could ever be. So use your struggles, embrace them as opportunities for God to work in you and for you to become even greater. So that's the way I look at it. I feel like it was just not helpful. I didn't learn anything about English. My English did not improve in that class. And I just think, like Morgan Freeman said, if you constantly talk about race, and you refer to somebody as a black person or a white person in every conversation or in every single report, whoever is speaking lists their race, that perpetuates racism. But if we just refer to people as people and judge people by their character, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, then a lot of these issues would disappear. So that was my take on my English class. History was pretty interesting. I will say, I think I had all good teachers. They all were pretty good. And yeah, they all were good. Some of them did bring some personal biases into the class, which wasn't necessary. I only had one teacher that didn't do that, and her class was very pure, even though the information might not be useful in the real world. It was still nice to just go and learn something and not hear anybody's political agenda or personal agendas being mentioned in the class. Something else interesting, two out of four of my professors basically told the class that they didn't believe in them. And to me, that went right to my heart because how can you be a teacher and not believe in your students? Why are you a teacher then if you don't believe that they can become greater than you? And in one class, a teacher was using a famous athlete who said something influential as an example, and he was kind of trying to have us put ourselves in that athlete's shoes. But then he said something like, well, I know, he's like, most of you won't be as important as this guy. And I thought to myself, like, what? How can you even say that? You have no idea who is sitting in your classroom. You have no idea the impact that these people will have on the world. And you should never say that to somebody. Why would you aim higher if the people who you look up to, your teachers, adults in your life tell you, well, I mean, you're never going to be anything important, but hey, you can still do good. I don't agree with that and I don't like that. And another professor of mine said something similar that people aren't capable of thinking for themselves or making decisions about information that's out there on their own in the context of freedom of speech. And that was very shocking to me because I think people are smart enough to look at a piece of information and come to their own conclusion. And I think we should give that power to the people and make sure the people continue to have that power because it's very important. And when you talk to people, I always find that people are so much smarter than I think. People, when you talk to people, it's just amazing how many interesting things are on their mind. And I think people are entirely capable, especially if they're trained to be able to do that. And if there's people in their lives that believe in them. So overall, it was an interesting time. I'm glad that the Lord got me through it. You know, there are times when I wanted to walk out, there are times when I wanted to give up, but I hear the Lord's voice saying to me to keep going. And just, I know that I don't agree with everything that's in there, but keeping the larger purpose in focus. And again, continuing your education outside of school is very important if you really want to be educated. I did find as well that some of my teachers had no idea about the people who even founded the school system and what their intentions were. And I was able to share that with a couple of my teachers. And it was interesting. They had no idea. My dogs may bark. They had no idea that the school system was designed to indoctrinate and not to give power to the people. It was designed to enslave the people and to put people into classes to enter the workforce. They had no idea. And it's just very interesting to me. So we'll see what happens. Uh, I think education in America is changing on the horizon, and I'm glad to see it. And I'm excited to see whatever changes come about that focus more on independent learning and apprenticeships and trades rather than instructional learning. Another lesson I learned is to forgive people and not to be angry at people because, like Jesus said, they know not what they're doing. So I think the hardest thing for me is being able to go about college having all of my beliefs and maintaining that while being surrounded by people who don't agree or who challenge that. And I think having an open heart and an open mind, but really being rooted in God is essential and is what got me through it. So I thank God that this semester is over. We'll see what the future has. And thanks for watching. That was my review of semester one at college.